There we go. Thank you all for joining us this evening. 6 p.m. Central Time is when we will begin, but we'll slowly walk our way so that those trickling in can also catch up on what we're talking about. I'm Robbie Butler. I'm a managing director at Y Street Capital. We'll get to introduce our senior partner, Victor Minash, and our good friend Jack Tucker in due time. But as we're getting ready and setting up presentation and whatnot, I'll share a little bit with you about the course of the evening. Some items to know is that we expect to take only about a half an hour to share this content. And once we do, we'll have questions which can be submitted using the Q&A box in Zoom. So go find that, familiarize yourself so that if a question comes to mind, you can ask it then. And if it's relevant, I'll interrupt and insert the question. And if it's not, we'll save it to the end where we have plenty of time built in. But go find that Q&A box now so that if you have a question, you can ask it, get it off your mind, and keep paying attention because though we're going to keep this to half an hour, there is an immense amount of detail, and no one's more qualified to share that than Victor and Jack. You would be familiar with the fact that this is a confidential memorandum. This presentation you were invited to hear. Only any investment made will be by prospectus only. It will be all governed by SEC regulations, and we can follow that through at the end of the webinar. But this is only a presentation. So that's the detail there. To begin, if you look into your Zoom controls, you can see you have the ability to vote in the poll that we've created. The question we ask you is, out of everything you've heard out of this opportunity, what's your favorite element so far? And I'll share that poll now so you can respond to it. Somewhere on your screen, you should see a pop-up that goes along with the questions, and I see people responding. So you got A, B, C, or D. A being the multi-pronged strategy, B, industrial outdoor storage, C being that triple net lease tenant that provides some cash flow, and of course, D being Jack Tucker. So respond there. We will close the poll in just about 3 seconds. So get your last votes in there. And it looks like we've got a strong showing for iOS with only a slightly less strong showing for Jack Tucker. 41% said iOS, and the rest said Jack is what they're most excited about. Couldn't agree more. So let's begin, and I will introduce our friend formally, Jack. Once I do a little table setting, we're going to go through the team on this deal. We're going to talk about the mega trend we're pursuing in this investment, the marketplace that Bradenton and light industrial finds itself in, as well as some of the project dynamics that we have here. That's the schedule for this evening. We'll keep moving at a good clip. But Jack, go ahead and share with us a little bit of your story.
Okay. Well, I'm it's my fault that you didn't vote for me first, guys. Sorry. No. Look, what you have is okay, let me start by saying, first of all, I'm just, Midwestern guy, doing this for a little while, and we've owned this property. We, meaning my family. So literally myself, my wife, my stepdad, my two oldest kids in their 20s, not shown in this picture. And also longtime friend, literally my best friend from high school. We've invested a long time. We've owned this for 3 years because this was all part of the vision. And now we finished our rezone as of November of last year. We're turning the corner, getting ready to go. Why are we here talking about this deal? We've been at this. We're very excited about it. And basically, in a world of abundance, I want for your family what I am getting for my family. Okay, we're talking. It's not money. Money doesn't buy happiness. But it can buy you peace. It can buy you space. It can buy you time with those most precious to you. And even after we do this capital raise, I want you guys to know my wife and I will still be the majority holder of this asset. And you have my full attention. So we are going to deliver this project, and we want to have your families to share in our family success. And yes, we were featured last month in a little country magazine, right? It's very fun. And yes, my youngest loves his red shoes. All right. But that's, this is not me saying, look at my great family. We want to remember what's important, and that's important. And look, maybe this is not an institutional way to start. webinar. But that's why we brought in White Street Capital. They are institutional quality. I've always done things where it's just friends and family only, and you're getting that personal touch and you're getting that rigor. But I want you to hear more about Y Street, and I think it's the best choice. And I see with all these folks here, I'm a little bit overwhelmed with how many people are interested in this deal. It's very heartwarming because this has been very important to our family, and I look forward to you joining us in this journey. So how are we doing that? Okay, it's 35 acres. Okay, there's three parts of this going on. The heart of this is the 11-acre school in blue in this graphic. And it's been there a long time. It's been there since 1997, which is about when I got my master's in engineering. And my kids tell me that's a very long time ago. So they've had a lot of success for a long time. They're an anchor tenant giving a triple net. That means zero landlord responsibility, just straight money in the bank. Okay, it's helped us with the carrying cost. It will continue to help us. They're red commercial pads along this high traffic corridor, 65,000 vehicles per day. And then this yellow section, this is the 20-acre IOS. And this is amazing. We're in this absolute desert of supply. And so you're going to hear more about that, what's going on in the market, why do we believe that's the best thing for development. So next slide. And I want you to hear the bigger picture from the smart guy in the room. That would be Victor. He's going to tell you more about the mega trends and more specific about this and the market in general.
Thank you, Jack. So, this is an exciting project. I've been helping Jack with this project now for a couple of years. We looked at a number of different uses. We looked at residential, multifamily, an RV park. We looked at all kinds of different things that are all entitled on this property, and shocked the heck out of us that the highest and best use for this property is in fact industrial. It was not the intuitive choice. As we learned over time, that is indeed the best choice because, if you believe in the laws of supply and demand, I do. It's kind of like gravity to me. It's a law of physics almost. There's such a shortage of industrial space in this area, as we'll get into, that is the product that is in the highest demand. And it's uniquely located, as you'll see when we go into more detail. It just makes it the perfect choice for this particular property. So, so let's just talk a little bit about what how the night's going to unfold. There's really two opportunities for you to invest in this project. One is to invest directly, and that's what we're here to talk about. But we also launched a couple of years ago the Young Y Street Capital Storage Fund 1, and it has multiple assets in it today. And this will also be in Y Street Storage Fund 1. So you'll have the opportunity either to invest directly or through the storage fund. If what you want is diversification, you can come at it from both ways. So more about that later. Who's Y Street? So our team is, we're 6 partners. Robbie just recently joined as partner. And Jack is not just here as a hanger-on. Jack, we are actually in discussions right now. We've actually got a signed letter of intent for Jack to join the Y Street team. And so we're excited about that because he brings a lot of depth, not just because he has a piece of dirt, but he brings a lot of depth as a leader. He has a very strong engineering background, strong background in product development and from the medical field, as it turns out. So he just brings a lot of depth. He's already adding value to the organization. He's already somewhat operationally integrated into the organization. So we're excited to come out hopefully soon with a formal announcement the merger of our organizations. But that's something that we're working hard on. And then the third is Long Yards. And this will be operated under the Long Yards brand. Chris Long was the founder of Long Yards. Today is operating industrial outdoor storage projects in multiple locations. He's got a couple in Florida already, some in Texas, several other locations. Started originally up in Ottawa, Canada, which is where I happen to be based. But he's a strong leader and a strong operator, and so we're thrilled to have him as a core part of the team. Let's talk about why industrial outdoor storage. Like, we got to think about why, what this is all about. So if you consider, go back 10, 15 years, the industry was all about globalization. It was all about minimizing inventory, just-in-time inventory, minimizing inventory holding costs. We've learned over the last couple of years that is less important than security of supply, which means that there's now a very significant trend towards having the supply chain geographically distributed closer to the end customer. That's why you start to see Amazon fulfillment centers, in that last mile type setting. It's needed not just for goods that you might order online, it's needed for all things in the entire process. It's needed for transportation and logistics. It's needed, as we'll talk about in a few minutes, electric fleets in particular for transportation are becoming a thing. They were about to launch the first dedicated EV highway in Texas between Houston and Dallas and Austin, where there's going to be unmanned electric vehicles. There's no place to charge those in the country. So having that designed in as part of the logistics is an important piece. So there's a lot of reasons why a property like this is needed, especially in this location. And so that's we're excited about the industry as a whole, and we're particularly excited about it in this one location. So actually, natural segue. So if we think about industrial on a nationwide basis, there's been a lot of supply added, in particular in Dallas. I mean, there's millions of square feet been added in Dallas over the last couple of years. So the average national vacancy in industrial today is 7%. So let's do a quick poll. And what do you think it is in this particular area? What do you think the vacancy is in industrial in this particular spot? So you can cast your vote. We'll close the vote here in a few seconds. In 3, 2, 1. And the answer is?
We've got about 32% voting for 1%, which is the correct answer.
Yeah. So it's a very tight market. And as Jack will allude to in a minute here, the zoning on this property is unique. The zoning code has changed in this area, and there's more land coming out of industrial than going in. In fact, there's none going in. There's land going out, and that's part of what's contributing to this. So let's go on to the next one. This aerial I think, tells a little bit of the story. You can see the actual site itself outlined in blue here, just near the knee in the highway, just north of that knee in the highway. That is that 35-acre site. Now you see a couple of major arterial roads. There's 301, which heads north. It eventually crosses the bridge over into St. Pete's. We're very close to the water, as it turns out. To the right of our property, immediately to the right, is the Tropicana R&D facility. You can see a rail spur that is heading north also to the right. Along the diagonal paralleling the highway is also a branch line for the railway. And then the rail spur actually heads into the Tropicana facility, which is over on the right-hand side. There's a few other industrial tenants in that particular industrial area, but that's it. Like there's not a ton in this particular area, and they're not making more of it. You can see the whole area is actually very built up. And so when you talk about an infill project of 35 acres in a dense urban environment, you almost never have those words together in the same sentence. So it's a unique location. It's a fulfilling a real market demand. There's so much is happening in the world of transportation. The port of Tampa itself is growing. There's a lot of the ports in the southeast are becoming much more important. It used to be the case that it was all about LA and Long Beach, and that's not the case anymore. You've got, Savannah, Georgia becoming a real player on the eastern seaboard. Tampa is becoming a real player on the eastern seaboard because not everyone wants to transit the Panama Canal. So it's becoming much more important. And as we mentioned, we have that rail connection right there. So yeah, right there along the diagonal. So that's maybe a unique asset in the future. It's not coming into our property yet, but it could. So
That's
the
right.
plan here is to subdivide the property. Am I, or do you want me to cover this, or do you want me to go over to you, Jack?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the plan is to skinny down the school down to 11 of the acres. As Jack mentioned, the state highway, which runs north south along the left hand border of the property, 65,000 cars a day. It's already subdivided into three commercial pads. We have 7-Eleven as a tenant, or actually as a buyer for one of those pads, and the other two are not sold yet, or we don't have a buyer for those yet. But it's again fulfilling a need. So it's really always about designing a product with a very specific customer in mind. And so as we came up with this site plan together with Jack and the rest of the engineering team, we really view this through the lens of product design because that's kind of what we are. We're product designers.
Absolutely. So let's pause for a quick break here. Another fun question. What's the name of the anchor triple net tenant on this property? Is it Team Success, Team Ron DeSantis, Team USA, or Team Taco?
This is obviously essential for the success of this investment. So we could
100%, 100%. This is all
And I
right.
was disappointed the host and the panelists aren't allowed to vote.
I know. I kept voting for Jack last time. I couldn't get it. All right. So, Robbie, what do we got?
we have a majority voting on team success, which is the correct answer. Jack, tell us a
It
little
is the
about the
correct
school.
answer. Yeah, that's right. So the school is really great, but I'll tell you the one it's not the answer is Team Taco. You see, when we would go places when the kids were little, we'd say, "Let's go Team Tucker," and they'd say, "Yeah, Team Taco." So we became Team Taco because they couldn't really say the whole thing, but that's okay. So, Team Success is a great charter school. It's been in existence for quite a while, as we discussed. They serve a Hispanic population, so an underserved population. And for how they came into being, the county actually was renting their facility to the charter school. And they wanted to get it off their books. And so the charter school was not able to purchase at the time. They contacted us as a friendly developer and said, "Hey, can you help us out?" And it was a really sweetheart deal. So we stepped in and bought the entire 35 acres. And as a friendly developer, we've been very keen to make sure that we don't step on their toes. We have compatible uses. Um, but they've done a great job. And in fact, the county has said, look, keep taking care of these kids because you have much higher graduation rates, much fewer issues. They're very good at it. They have since expanded just recently to three campuses. So another one in this county and yet a third. And that's important because when you have a multi-tenant charter school, it's a better quality credit tenant. And part of the reason they've been able to expand is because we've been giving them also a very sweetheart low rent. Okay, they brought us this deal. In exchange for that, we've been giving them this opportunity to save a lot of money on their facilities cost. And that's allowed this growth and this additional campus expansion. They currently have 800 students. In the charter school world, it's very important to understand enrollment because they get paid for each and every student. Um, and at the end of the day, it's a very healthy heart of that triple net anchor. There's also tax benefits. So when you buy into this, there's 90,000 square foot of school, which is great for cost segregation purposes and also bonus depreciation. So that's a big advantage to this particular offering. Also, there's a law in Florida that says there's no maybe back up one slide, Robbie. There's no property taxes on public charter schools. And so because we will hit 2026 with them still in possession of the overall 35 acres without turning any dirt, we have an additional year of no property taxes for 2026. So now you may proceed, Robbie. Thank you. Um, so commercial pads. Look, we have three parcels that we're developing. We need to bring them pad ready. 7-Eleven has already jumped on the corner. They paid a very good price, and we have the other two that are offered to the market. We're looking at a total sale of about $6 million that we can go ahead and garner. We will improve the site to bring it pad ready for about 1.3. We already have appraisal as is. It sits there at 4.4 million. A lot of numbers. Point is that there's a strong need in the market. And I also wanted you to see what does 65,000 vehicles per day look like. So in that graphic, you get to see this just massive stack. And we are just after the merge of these two US highways. And there's plenty of time to get over into our site. That's why 7-Eleven was like, we'll take it. Don't care what you're asking, we'll take it. And so that's our, again, we have part of the property performing and the market has spoken. But now there's the 20 acres of outdoor storage. All right. So we got the cash flow anchor. We got these pads we can sell. And this is the hold. Okay. This is the wealth generator. This is 20 acres. We can put in the long yards model. Long yards is small and medium sized yards. Okay. Not where you have to have a 10-year triple net lease to a large institutional tenant. No, these are the growing businesses that have nowhere to go in this market. Okay. This helps them grow their business. They can size appropriately. They can upsize the yard over time. And that is the long yards model. Something we're very excited about. We already own another property with Chris and with Y Street over in Winter Haven, Florida. So we're in this market in Central Florida, and we're very excited to see it here. There's a lot of interest in the property already. You will also see in this graphic, you see a phase one and phase two. What's that about? In phase one, we already have a couple of existing buildings that are offered as warehouses. So those are being leased up right now. And I see Jeff Button and Ryan on here. They're the guys who are already receiving a bunch of inquiries for those pieces, as well as offering some of the yards. So we're doing some pre-leasing that really helps reduce risk. And phase one and phase two is all about risk reduction. We're building phase one because it's already high and dry. It's very accessible. It only costs about 800,000 to go ahead and get phase one up and going. So that way we can see just what are we getting for rent? What is the response to the market before we go ahead and spend $5 million to deploy phase two. We'll also have a really good idea of tenant mix and everything else. So we're very careful. Look, this isn't a blow and go type situation. I'm not, sell and forget. We're in this deal. We're going to make sure it's done right and it's well risk adjusted. So here is the project timeline and the milestones. We can talk about the development timeline. Just understand that we are there. So right now we look forward to, and you're going to hear a little bit about, timing of investment and such. We have a refinance on the entire property in December. So right now is the time to change anybody who might be in the ownership structure, which is why we're doing it now, to bring other folks in. And then we're off to the races. We get our permits, we start building, we get the pads ready, we sell. And if you look at the bottom, that's really, as an investor, this is what you're looking at. What can you expect? There's about $8.8 million available, and there's a certain minimum. But by year two, there's cash flow. Okay. The cash flow from the school already is servicing the debt. So that's really strong. But we will start building the cash flow from the industrial outdoor storage by year two. You'll see in the above by 2028, we've already stabilized our operations. Year three, there's already an 80% return of capital. And that's from the lot sales mostly for the commercial. And then prior to exit, we intend to either sell the school or keep the school, depending on how things are going. If we have really been cranking on the iOS, maybe we hold on to the school. But the point is, by year five, you can expect a 2x equity multiple on what you had coming in. And if you look at the next slide, why
Actually,
are we
go back to that.
confident?
Go back to the last slide. We've reviewed these like 6 times. That October 15th deadline should say November 15th.
Yes, that's right. And you'll see that on the next
So
slide.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellow engineer. And then, so why are we so confident that we can get you this kind of return by year five? Because right now the baseline strategy, and I will be honest, there's a lot of potential upside to the strategy, but the baseline conservative modeling, because that's how we do it, we will have a net operating income of 3.4 million. Okay. We will have a loan to value of 30% when we go to refi. Okay. So at the refi, we'll have a strong NOI. We'll have a strong loan to value that we're requesting, and we'll have a coverage ratio that is well above a 2. Most lenders would say you're very bankable. Okay. And that is how we plan on ensuring that 2 equity multiple happens by year five. Now, if something takes a little longer, there's lots of safety valves, and we don't have to get into all the different contingency strategies. However, um, we have the golden ticket as far as zoning possibilities, but we also have large tenant iOS. So instead of small tenant, we can get some larger anchors, maybe an Amazon or something, a 5 acre piece or a 10 acre piece to get the large iOS and get that cap rate going. We can also condoize. So this is in the state of Florida, we've already confirmed we can have a land condoization where instead of holding the entire iOS, we could literally turn it into essentially an industrial park and sell off individual parcels. Now, we would sell off maybe some of the periphery so we can redevelop later, but there's so much demand for this product that instead of just renting it, we could rent it and or buy it and or sell it. So there's a lot of ways to ensure that we are going to absolutely get you your money back when we say we will. And Victor, this one is for you.
Okay. So when we put together an investment opportunity, we are always targeting things that are institutional quality. And now, whether you choose to invest in the fund or whether you choose to invest in this directly, the returns are similar. Because that's just what we aim to do. For folks, if all you've ever done is invest in a 3 month treasury, these numbers may seem a little bit high to you, but we're not doing anything magical here. We're not doing anything outlandish. We're just creating value, and it's a result of having purchased right, having put together the right debt structure, and identified the need in the marketplace. So this is what falls out when you structure an investment correctly. So the goal here is not to necessarily go into a lot of detail. There's reams and reams that we can go into. The key is to actually get on a call with us and ask all of the tough questions. We'd be happy to have that, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of this talk, which is probably only about a minute or so away. But the key is just to keep it real simple. Schedule a call with us. Could be with Robbie, could be with Jack, could be with myself, and get all of your questions answered. There is also opportunity if you have a 1031. Structurally, we're able to accommodate that as well. Not a lot of investments can. So that's something to note. And our goal here is to get this completed by the 15th of November. That is not an artificial deadline. You may encounter folks that say, the 1 day sale, bullshit. It's not an artificial deadline. We are refinancing the property with a lender in the middle of December, and the equity structure needs to be finalized in advance of that. So that's what's driving that timeline. And as I mentioned before, if you value diversification, you can participate in the project directly or together with several other assets in our Storage Fund 1. We currently have about 250,000 square feet of retail self-storage between our Kirkendall project in Houston and Grand Junction. Winter Haven is in its lease-up process right now, and then Bradenton we've just talked about. So those are the 4 current assets in Storage Fund 1. We may be adding others, but that's what's in there right now. So in order to qualify for this, obviously you have to be an accredited investor. I think most people on this call would know what the SEC definition is of that. It's more than just these 2 items. It is $100,000 investment minimum. If there's anything about this that doesn't feel right for you, don't do it. It's okay. We're not here to sell you on anything. It's got to feel like a natural fit. We think we have something great here, and we're excited about it. But if it's not a fit, maybe because it's not in your wheelhouse or the timing isn't right, whatever it might be, if it's not a fit, don't do it. So we're here to answer your questions. We'll answer them honestly and openly. So in terms of next steps, the thing to do would be to just schedule a call. And the simplest way to do that is just click on the QR code or email us at info@ystreetcapital.com, put Bradenton in the subject, and we'll set up a call with you directly, and then we can take the process from there. Again, we're not here to There's not going to be any hard sell and no email spam or any of that. It's got to feel like the right fit. I
Point.
think with that, we'll open it to questions. While we do that, while you're preparing your questions, Robbie will read out the questions and we'll go through them. Robbie, do we want to talk about what's going on in Tulum? Okay, cool.
Yes, go right
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, so November 9th through 13th, we're hosting an event called the Build to Scale Mastermind in Tulum, Mexico. It's at the Secrets Resort in Tulum, which we're excited about. And there really only are 4 tickets left um, as of this morning. And this is going to be 3 full days with the entire leadership team from Y Street Capital is going to be there. And we're going to be masterminding on a number of different things. We've got some invited speakers as well. Going to be talking about actually, among other things, how to speak. Is one of the speakers. He's a specialist in that. We're going to be talking about how to conduct mergers and acquisitions, as well as goal setting for 2026. So we're excited about what's coming up on November 9th through 13th. And if you're interested, definitely email us as well at info@ystreetcapital.com, and we'll get you set up for that. So that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. So only a couple of spots remaining in that.
Fantastic.
Okay, Robbie, what do we have for
And
questions?
and it's worth noting, by the way, that the Tulum event is before the deadline to invest. So if you want to come meet the team, it's a great opportunity to come down and really understand who you're working with.
Our first question, an excellent question, is from Craig. How much available, how much is available in 2025 depreciation through the cost segregation? Do we have any early insight into ratios or volumes given what we know about the asset?
That's a great question. I'll take that. And that's going
Okay,
to
go ahead.
be, yep. And that's going to be, there was a cost seg study done, so we're already set up for that. What that says exactly, I unfortunately don't know off the top of my head, but I can get that answer to you for sure. And that's a make sure the accountant gets it right type question. But yes, when we bought the
Yeah,
property in 2022, there was a full cost seg done.
I think it's so. I think it's substantial, and I know that's not very quantitative. And the reason we say that is the replacement cost for the asset is actually higher than the current market value, or
Mhm.
even our acquisition cost. So when you do the cost seg, the numbers are really quite strong.
Next question, an excellent question is there a possibility of not selling the iOS after 5 years if all the capital has been returned and the property is performing well? So this gets into the actual deal structure and what we envision. Jack or Victor, you can fight over who describes this.
Yes, I'm going to say that currently the plan is not to sell the iOS, and instead we're refinancing. And so that's where the return of capital comes from. We really don't want to sell because of all the covered land play for all the out years when we have the chance to redevelop the property as a higher and better use. And so that's currently the plan, and that's part of why I wanted to go through the loan to value, the coverage ratios, all that stuff. That's our current.
Anything to add, Victor?
No, what Jack is saying is exactly right. We often consider industrial outdoor storage to be the gateway drug to small bay industrial, which is in acute need as well. And the reason we're not building the small bay industrial today is because it would just extend the timelines, and we can get really, really strong returns just with this very, very simple product. So the value multiplier will only increase over time.
The other piece, when I answer these questions from investors, is often sharing that philosophically we are all buy and hold investors, and
Yep.
yet you never went broke making a profit. So if someone comes and offers you an immense amount of money for what you originally paid, that's always worth the consideration. You never sell until the cap rate suddenly changes in your favor and you go, "Oh, this is a new piece of information." So hopefully that answers that question. I do have a very detailed question about what are the current comps for rent and cap rates in these
Mm.
iOS lots in the market right now. Jack, would you like to start?
I'd love to. I want to answer every question because I'm so excited about the project. So right now, if you're looking at, look, if you're able to rent a muddy field in Southwest Florida that is approved for this use, you are going to pay $10,000 an acre and thank your lucky stars. All right. Now, we are offering a premium product, and we're also, instead of doing it by the acre, we're doing it by the square foot. So our largest lot right now is designed is about half an acre, but most of them go down to a tenth, a quarter of an acre. So we get a premium. The smaller you get, the better it goes. So there's right now the comps also for anything. If you just can find a gravel area with no fence, you're looking at $3 a foot, sometimes $4 a foot per square foot. And so what we're proposing is only $3.60 a square foot during lease up phase. And as we get going, it starts approaching 51 cents per square foot. And that's part of the
per
validated
month.
work we've done. Yeah, per month. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yes. So 360 to
To
$6
$6. Yeah.
per square
Yeah.
foot. That's right.
Next question is from our friend Mark, what is considered year two in terms of precise dates? And second question is, what is the projected cash flow to investors in years two, three, and four? I took the risk of opening up our pro forma, which might crash my computer, but in order to look at the timeline, so I'll see if I can answer question two. Not certain if I can get to question one. Do either of you know about question one, the exact date, what defines year two?
Yeah.
So
So year
my under
one is, yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead, Victor. Nope,
Yeah.
you're
I
up.
mean, okay. Year one is 2026. Year two is 27. Year three is 28, roughly. I mean, we're going to be refinancing in December of this year, so we're not really counting 20. Not much time left in 25. So, from a cash flow perspective, we'll be built out. We'll have income in year two. The numbers are not massive. It's about a 3% cash on cash in year two, and it grows to maybe 7-8% in year three, and just grows from there. Because
And
remember, we're still in build out as well at that same time, right?
and all early distributions are return of capital. So what Victor described is correct. And anyone who would like more information, schedule a phone call. Delighted to talk it through with you, or send the pro forma and walk you through that. Did not crash the computer. We're all still here. Um, Next question is the deal structured as a typical limited partner, general partner real estate syndication? And the answer is yes. There's a tenant in common on top of that, but this is a traditional real estate syndication that you will invest as a limited partner and you'll receive your monthly emails. If you want to visit the property, I know Jack would be delighted to meet you there. November 15th is the deadline of that traditional real estate syndication. The 1031 also having a short time window. So if someone is thinking, I would like to 1031, recognize your property has to move on to market fast, or you have to pursue a more creative 1031 structure. Anything to
Let
add to
me let
that?
me
And so, and just
go ahead.
to clarify, the entity is a limited liability company, so it's not an LP limited partnership. It is a partnership election under the LLC rules. So you'll be a member in that LLC, and I think it's called Bradenton Storage LLC, Delaware Corp, registered extraterritorial registration in the state of Florida.
Anything
I
else, Jack?
wanted to I wanted to mention something about timing. What's the big rush? So we're working with a lender that's giving very favorable terms, and this is good debt these days is very useful. Okay, it and because of that, we're working with them. We want to stay within their constraints, and they're giving us this direction. Like, hey, if you're going to put anybody else on title, make sure underwriters are good. We don't want to upset that boat. So right now we're scheduled to refinance early to mid December. And so that's why this November. I know we mentioned that before, but it is in order to secure some excellent debt moving forward, both for the interest only phase for bridge, as well as they're interested in going to perm. So it really increases the likelihood of delivering like we say we are.
One of the next questions asks, If you sell the school, will some portion of the funds be distributed to investors, or will it all be utilized to pay down debt?
It's a bit of both. I mean, obviously, if you're taking away the security for the lender, because that is the lender's collateral, they're going to require a reasonable principal pay down. So it's both.
That's right. And last week we got back our appraisal with this lender. It came in at 8.5 million. That's a big chunk. So I'm sorry, 8.4, but that's a big chunk. And so when we go to sell, and by the way, every year it adjusts up with inflation. So we hold it for 3 years or so. Now we're sitting, and you take the cap rate, it only is going up from here, assuming caps don't go silly on us. So point is that's a pretty big chunk that we will be giving some to the lender, some to the investor.
This is a fun question, and perhaps we will call up our good friend Chris Long to speak to this subject. This person asks, I would like a clearer explanation of industrial outdoor storage. Who is your tenant base? Who are these individuals or businesses renting yards? Chris, if you're available and signal works and willing, hop in and we'll let you answer this. Otherwise, I can at least describe a few of the early leases into the Winter Haven property that is a very specific example. But Chris, go ahead.
Everyone can hear me?
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, excited to be here. So the long yards model, small, medium, and large size yard is for small, medium, and large size businesses. I was a carpenter, I was a general contractor, and I had trailers, tools, equipment, could not find a yard, built the model, and now it's expanding. So the Rolodex kind of starts from these small guys that are just doing flips, general renovations, to property maintenance, to electricians, to fleet parking. My first location in Canada grew to now over 67 yards. 67 yards in the long yard. It sometimes can get confusing, but we have all sorts of clients there, right from logistics companies to small businesses to larger contractors, home builders. We have one client that took multiple yards because they're building small houses. And the more locations we have, the more usage that we see happening. And we're trying to find who is our top client, but there's just so many people that need this space. And sometimes the best way I describe it is who needs a self-storage unit? And there's a lot of people, and like, who needs a small to medium-sized yard? And that's a large pool. And even in my Ottawa location, there's still homeowners that sold a cottage and they need to store ATVs and boats. So it's there's not one size fits all, but it is quite a large, you know, um, fit for many people. So we're just excited to bring this to Bradenton to learn more about all the clients coming in. So I hope that's a good answer.
I think it's worth adding a couple of things about the product itself that are different than just a lay down yard. Number one, when you're dealing with big vehicles, bulldozers, all that kind of stuff, turning radius matters. So the way you design the product has to take that into consideration. Security, electrical power. How many contractors have a trailer full of Milwaukee or DeWalt batteries that they want to charge overnight? They don't want to have to bring that stuff home. Like, there's just so many considerations that when you understand who the customer is, then you design the right product for that customer.
Right. And I can add on that quickly, Victor, and you nailed it. My first location, we kept rebuilding. I leased out the first third, leased out the second, and then just the way we offset the gates, widen the road, these little nuances, tweaking the lease from all the lessons we've learned. So it's just nothing but perfecting the model and keeping that in mind to make it easier for our client base.
Final question currently. So if people have other questions, now is your time to start submitting them, or otherwise we will grant you about 10 minutes back and wish you well this evening and schedule a phone call. The final question asked here is, what is the decision-making structure given that we have three experienced partners, Y Street, Tucker Capital, Long Yards in play? What's the decision structure? Victor, would you like to answer that one?
Sure. So on any team, there are different peoples in different chairs, and they play different roles. So if it is, related to development, that we're going to take the lead on that. If it's related to the capital structure, Jack as the principal signer on the debt is going to be central to that discussion. If it's related to leasing and and operations. Chris is going to come into play. So we all have different roles to play. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to build an iOS product. It's all the same.
Great. If any other questions are ready to be asked, fire away. You have a brief and precious moment with all four of the contributing speakers here. I will share the QR code one more time in case you're interested, but scheduling a phone call to discuss some of the nuance is the next step. We have our legal documents in final preparation that will begin that timeline to November 15th, and we look forward to including you with us on this product. Any final words, Jack? And then we'll give Victor the sign off.
Oh boy. No, just again, I'm a little overwhelmed with and grateful for all the folks who came in here tonight, listened to this, and it's we're very excited to share this with you and look forward to working together. Please don't hesitate to call, even if it's just to say, "Hey, man, good to see you." Right? Like let's keep in touch. Maybe the next one, maybe this one's not for me, but I think that this is definitely. Um, Look, I've learned the hard way that cash flow, having existing cash flow is so important when you have the ability to hold, when you have holding power, and that's how this property has treated us along the way with that school in place and the adjustment every year with inflation. Um, Again, I know we talked about a lot of stuff, but this particular property has a lot of elements that I feel are really risk adjusted to make sure that we deliver.
Victor, to you.
No, very well said. No, thank you everyone for spending a part of your Wednesday night with us, and hopefully it's of interest. And we'll be happy to go deep to any level that you want to answer any questions. And just wish you a great evening. Thank you, Robbie, for a great job emceeing tonight. And we'll wish you a great night.
That's right. And thank you, Chris, for jumping in here. I know you're in Canada for Canadian Thanksgiving, so appreciate that.
Great. Good night, all.